I want to adopt my sister after my dad's death. My wife refused because we agreed on no children. Is there a way to fix this? I, 28 male, have been married to my wife, 28 female, for 2 years. We do not have kids and we do not plan to. I have a little sister, 11 female. Due to the age gap, I am more like another father than a brother. My father passed away from pancreatic cancer. There are 2 options for my sister. Either I take her in or my uncle, dad's brother. So we asked her who she wanted, and she chose me. Here's the problem. My wife and I decided that we did not want kids. So she does not want to adopt my sister, especially since my uncle can. But my sister has no parents now, and I want to make sure she's able to recover and be healthy. And since she wants to be with me, I will not force her to be with our uncle. This is causing a lot of tension with my wife. Things escalated, and finally, I told her that I'm doing this whether she agrees or not. She can either accept it or we get divorced. We have not talked since then. What can I do in such situation? I don't think there is much else you can do other than wait for your wife's response. She doesn't want the responsibility of children, which you both agreed to, and now you are changing the dynamic of that because of this unfortunate situation. But circumstances aside, she is still entitled to not want children and to divorce you over it. I think you have made the right decision to stand by your sister. This is terrible that you have to make this choice, but that poor child needs you, and I hope that even if you wind up going through divorce, that your wife can understand why you have to do this. You have clearly already made your choice. There is nothing left for you to do except divorce your wife. She doesn't want to be a parent, and it would be cruel to try and force her. Let her find someone else. Speaking as a child-free by choice woman, I think your relationship with your wife is finished. Do I think you should take in your sister despite agreeing to be child-free and having a good alternative? Yes, as long as you understand the consequences of that decision and are completely okay with them. You and your wife are adults and should be able to amicably and rapidly divorce. Truly, all of this should have been discussed and determined prior to your dad passing, and not during a weeping conversation with an 11-year-old girl without speaking to your wife first. But such is life. You have let an 11-year-old decide, and I think it would be absolutely terrible to say yes and then change to no. I wish you, your soon-to-be ex-wife, and your sister all the best of luck. As a kid sister, please stand by her. My family always picked everyone else. It ruined me because I always felt so alone and like I didn't have family. No one considered me or helped me. She has been through so much. Don't give up on her. If your wife cannot see that this is very clearly an extenuating circumstance, then that is an unfortunate outcome, but there shouldn't be bad blood. And OP replies, I will adopt my sister. I knew the marriage is doomed, I just posted here, so maybe someone can give me an idea, but I know there is only one way. I'm really sorry. You're in a very challenging situation here. I wouldn't trade places on this for any amount of money. I speak as a foster parent who has seen how much kids really need by her family. And now on to the update. I talked with my wife again. She still refused as she does not want kids. So we basically decided to go our separate ways. She said, you really are choosing your sister over me. I told her I do not want to go into this discussion again, but if that's what you want to hear, then fine. Yes, my sister takes the priority now. I am choosing her over you. This was our last conversation. I have been living with my sister for 1 week now. Being a single father-ish brother is definitely challenging, but I am really enjoying it. Sounds like the best outcome for all concerned. You dodged a bullet. I think your wife would have had a point if you changed your mind and wanted to have a kid with her, but this is an emergency situation where a child needs help. Any other woman would say I'll divorce you if you don't help your sister. Seriously, she expects your sister to lose her father and then just go into foster care while you stand by and watch? Your wife is off the chart in selfishness and lack of empathy. Get the fuck out ASAP. The choice for OP's sister wasn't between OP and foster care, it was between OP and her uncle, and said she would rather be with her brother. To my mind, this isn't a choice, it's a result of a circumstance that nobody wanted. What loving brother could do less? And I genuinely understand your wife's position, but sometimes, if we want to be able to look at ourselves in the mirror, we have no choice, and that's just the lemons life gives us. Congratulations for being the brother your sister needs, and commiserations for having to be the brother that your sister needs. A lot of people, men as well as women, do not want to parent a child, period. If OP's soon-to-be ex stayed in the relationship, she probably would have been an awful alternative to a mother, making everyone miserable and losing the relationship anyway while permanently scarring the child. Going their separate ways now is all for the best. I wish them all good luck. Same. Children aren't oblivious to tension between adults, and they can tell when someone isn't thrilled to be around them. It's better to be separate and stress-free than together and struggling to put on a happy face. I think it worked out for the best. My father died when I was 14 to cancer, and my oldest half-sister, she's 21 years older than me, took me in, and it was obvious she didn't want me there. Some of the rules were no hugging or showing of affection from anyone toward me, as she has a son who was 11. He needed all the affection, so none was left for me. I wasn't allowed to go on vacation with them because I wasn't family. I wasn't allowed to spend weekends with them because that was family time and I wasn't family, etc. I ran away when I was 15, and she nor her husband ever reported me missing. A month after I disappeared, my best friend's parents reported me missing. I was brought back, and my sister refused to pick me up because the money she was receiving for me had stopped since I was no longer there. I told my story to explain this. It is better to not be forced upon somebody who doesn't want you, especially after losing your only parent. I'm thankful the sister has OP who loves her so much, but I'm also thankful to his wife who removed herself. The sister is going to need all the help and love that she can get to make it through this devastating time, and the resentment she would have felt from the wife would have only made things so much worse. Our next post is titled, I, 23 female, think my boyfriend, 27 male, is cheating with a girl from his work. What should I do? So my boyfriend has an office job, and I often stop by my boyfriend's office during the week and we'll get lunch together. I noticed a co-worker of his, Sarah, there a couple times because she was at the front desk when I went in. I think I only remembered her because she has a strong British accent and my parents are British. My boyfriend had never mentioned her to me. One day when I came home from work, I heard a female voice through the door of our apartment, and it sounded just like her. I stopped and listened for a moment, but couldn't hear much, and then went in, and found my boyfriend was home alone. I asked who he was talking to, and he said no one, and looked at me strange. But I'm sure he must have been talking on his phone with her, maybe FaceTiming or on speakerphone. Then like a week later, he said that he had to work late, which didn't happen very often at all, but I didn't think much of it. While he was at work, I called him about something else, and then I heard her voice in the background again, and laughter. He had a few more late nights in succession because he was working on a project, he said, and on one other occasion, I heard her in the background again. Then when I went to the office one day, she was on the front desk and acted really unfriendly and cold towards me. By this point, I was getting suspicious. Next, I was coming home from work one night, and I saw her walking right in front of our apartment building as if she had just left the front doors. Then one night I had gone to bed early, and again I heard her voice coming from our living room. I came out of our bedroom, and my boyfriend was just closing the front door to the hallway. He said that he was talking to one of our neighbors, but I'm 100% sure that I heard her voice. My guess is that maybe she had shown up thinking that I was away or something. When I've brought up Sarah in conversation, my boyfriend always pretends that he doesn't even know her at all and that they've hardly ever spoken, which makes me think he's hiding her from me since they work together. So I have no real evidence, I guess, but I keep hearing her and seeing her, and I just have this real sense that something is going on with this girl and that there are too many coincidences to ignore. What do I do about it? I haven't told him anything about it yet. Is that what I should do? Trust your instincts. Something is going on for sure. It is very telling that he's acting like he doesn't even know who she is. Tread lightly, since you don't have any super concrete proof, even though in my mind there is no doubt. I don't know what kind of area you live in, so maybe it's possible she lives in the same building, unlikely considering all the other instances that you mentioned, but it is very concerning that you saw her leaving your apartment building and it's possible she was there while you were sleeping. If she is bringing her into where you guys live, that is just beyond disrespectful. And OP replies, yeah, he just says that she's part-time in a different department and part-time reception, so he doesn't know her much. We live in a busy area, so I guess she could have been walking down the street, but I don't know. Never lie to yourself and find excuses for your boyfriend. That's how you end up giving yourself unnecessary heartbreaks. Deal with it face on and know that you deserve someone better. There is always someone out there that will treat you better than what this expletive is doing. He will try to talk his way out of it, but don't effing listen. He won't be sorry because he cheated, he'll be sorry because he got caught. I think what made me suspicious was hearing that you saw her in front of your apartment building. I mean, what are the odds that she both works with your boyfriend and also lives there? And for what it's worth, when I was being cheated on, he didn't mention this girl to me whatsoever, despite telling me about everyone else in his life. And he downplayed his interactions with her until I knew the truth. For now though, you don't have any proof, so I'm not going to definitively say, oh my god, he's cheating. But I will tell you to keep your eyes open and keep trying to communicate with him about it as well. You could also try surprising him at home sometime, since it seems there is a possibility that she might be coming over when she thinks that you aren't there. I would advise to keep your eyes and ears open, but not mention a word to your boyfriend. If anything, act more loving and carefree to throw him off, because that's when he'll get sloppy. Once he knows you're onto him, he'll be more careful if he is cheating. I'd finish work early and not tell him and come home. Does he always tell you when he's staying at home? Do you suspect her to come over during weekends or evenings when you're working? Whenever you are suspecting, tell him that you are going out and leave, then pop back home because you felt sick or plans changed, etc. If you are generally not paranoid, this is your intuition. And now, on to the update. So, I made that post on Friday afternoon. That night, I tried to ask a bit more about Sarah, just to see how he would react and such. He didn't say much though, just that he didn't know her well. The next morning was Saturday, and my boyfriend was up early, and then said that we needed to talk. He seemed really nervous, and basically just said that he was worried about me, and he thought that I needed to get some help. He said I kept talking about this girl Sarah that he barely knew, and that I was saying strange things that didn't make sense. I got angry and started listing off all the things I put in my post, but he just got upset and said that he needed me to understand that these things didn't happen. We went back and forth like this for a while, but he was so adamant that I started to get scared. Something I didn't mention in my post is that I have epilepsy. It's controlled by medication so that I haven't had a seizure in 3 years, but I have a neurologist that follows me. So I called his office and went in yesterday morning with my boyfriend. I told him everything that had been going on, and my boyfriend did the same from his perspective. He said that at one point on Friday night, I had asked him about why he communicated with Sarah using the neural Wi-Fi and not me. Which obviously sounds bizarre, and yet I remember thinking that too, and thinking that it made sense. The bottom line is that my boyfriend is not cheating. In fact, he doesn't really know Sarah other than a few interactions at work. Instead, my neurologist's working theory is that I am having auditory, and perhaps, though less likely, visual hallucinations related to my epilepsy. I guess that can be a symptom of the type of epilepsy that I have. It's called temporal lobe epilepsy. It's hard to describe, but even as I'm writing this, I still feel suspicious of her and my boyfriend, even though I know that nothing is actually going on. I have an MRI scheduled, and then they will know more. We are planning to adjust my medications, and the MRI will, I guess, tell the neurologist more about what may be going on, medications to try, and whether surgical intervention is a potential treatment plan. In the meantime, I have some exercises to do so that I can sort of examine my own thoughts. My boyfriend has been really fantastic the last few days, sort of taking charge of everything, because I feel quite out of it and lost with all of this. You find yourself wondering what else might have been hallucinations, and really self-conscious about what you are saying. I have a referral to a specialist to discuss with that too. So yeah, I'm scared, but also really happy to have my boyfriend with me too. I'm still processing things. Thanks to everyone for the advice that I guess I didn't really need in the end. I'm not sure what else to say. Thanks. And now in the comments, fellow epileptic here. Those meds can really fuck with your head if you don't stay on top of them. The side effects are also really nasty too. You will also need to adjust dosage or types over time. It's just a fact of life. Turning 40 this year and haven't had a seizure in over a decade. Still get tested regularly. Good luck, and I hope it all works out for you. And OP replies, I've been lucky with my meds so far in that they have been effective, which isn't the case for others. I'm hoping a dosage adjustment is all that is needed, but we'll see. It probably is just a dosage adjustment. While I have been on maybe about 6 or 7 different types of meds, when they put me on Depakote, one that most actually steer clear from due to its side effects, it was the only one that totally worked. My dosage in the beginning of these meds, around 18 years ago, was I believe 250 by 2 daily. Now I'm at 500 by 3 daily. I've gained some weight. Some of the older meds kept me scary skinny, like people thought I was a drug addict skinny, and that was the reasoning for the increase. OP replies, my last dosage adjustment was 3 years ago, though I haven't really changed physically since then. I'm quite skinny too though, and a part of that could be because of the Tegretol, which is one of the meds that I take right now. It can mess with how hungry I am, or cause nausea sometimes, I think. I want to say, awesome that things with your boyfriend turned out so well, but I feel bad saying that they may have turned out so well at the expense of your health. I wish for you that it's simple as a medication change or a dosage update to solve this for you. And OP says, I hope so. There are a few different med changes possible, so we'll see. Wow, good guy boyfriend. There is so little happy on this sub that I'm super excited to see this is not a typical situation despite you having to deal with a serious issue. You'll be okay. You have good support it seems, and you'll be just fine. I love you as a human being, and I hope this is the last serious health thing that you have to deal with, and from now on, your life will just be happy goings. I can't be alone in thinking that absolutely nobody would have guessed that. I sincerely hope that the MRI gives you something conclusive and that you can work with. I'm glad that you're on the road to figuring this out and not doing so alone. Your boyfriend sounds awesome. Unless of course he's a master manipulator and has actually managed to convince you that you are going through a mental/health crisis that you are not. That seems really bloody unlikely though, just the paranoid kind of crap that this sub makes you think of. And OP replies, yeah, no kidding. I'm hoping that it is related to my epilepsy to be honest, because the other options are things like schizophrenia, which is terrifying. My neurologist seems pretty confident though, and said that he has seen issues like this with other epilepsy patients of the same type. I guess epilepsy can present as schizophrenia in certain circumstances or something like that. I'm wondering about the whole British accent thing. Maybe the hallucinations are old memories of your mum's voice being processed in weird ways by your brain. Since Sarah is on your mind and you aren't around a lot of British accents, you naturally assumed that it was her. And OP says, I have no idea. There was some terminology that my neurologist used to describe how sometimes patients lock onto a particular stimulus or something, and then they can have paranoia or delusions related to it. Something like that. It was a lot to take in at once. This was a really interesting story in that instead of the boyfriend flipping out and then both escalating, she got help and he is supportive. I really love when we see people behaving like caring adults on these posts, and I hope OP is able to manage these distressing symptoms. Maybe the fact that she was talking crazy? Neural Wi-Fi, like, really? And he knows her well enough to see that she believed all the accusations she made, helped him get worried instead of upset. I'm glad OP is getting the help she needs. Damn, that's really scary. One can be so sure that something is their reality when it's absolutely not. I hate knowing that this could happen to anybody. One of the most bizarre stories I've ever heard is from a friend who didn't know that he had an antibiotic allergy. The dude was convinced he had birds coming out of his light bulbs and people hiding in his mattress, so he threw it away. He said it all sounded so logical at the time, and he really believed that it was all happening. I didn't realize antibiotic allergies could cause such crazy hallucinations. If you have ever done psychedelics, you can see shit, but you know it's not actually there. I can't imagine having a hallucination that makes no sense and just thinking it's real. Edit, I've looked it up, and I guess it's not necessarily an allergy, more along the lines of a rare side effect in some individuals. Antibiomania, a type of psychosis that presents in some people after taking certain kinds of antibiotics.